And welcome back to another episode of On the Couch with Shuntai and Johnell. I am Shuntai Hill.
I'm Johnell Allen Bay, and we're excited to go and continue on with Black Love Matters.
Yes, it's a conversation that needs to be had about love of ourselves, love within relationships, and our community.
Yes.
And on our last show, joined us was the Simpsons and the Mabrys, and we had some lively conversation.
Absolutely, definitely live. Not live
not live it. That's the wrong word.
Live it, yeah.
Lively conversation on love. We left off at talking about submission.
Right, and
Yes.
we were talking, and First Lady Darlene Simpson. She wasn't First Lady then when we first got into this, because she talked about the wrestling match. I thought about Jacob, when he wrestled all night and then finally came up with a conclusion, right? And so when you were telling me that, that's what hit my mind. That sometimes let's talk about the entanglement part of it and how we got to where we need to be.
Can I?
You can do anything.
Walking together.
I remember probably about 20 years ago, we had went to Memphis. Now, I grew up back and forth from Saginaw and Memphis. Not once have I ever went to the Burko House. It's in a museum where Harriet Tubman used to take the slaves to.
Okay.
When they was being free, when they was escaping. And the secret that I learned in there is that the songs that they used to sing was giving the next slave the way on which way to go through the songs. There were secret messages in the songs.
Okay.
And so through that, God began to speak to me, even on our relationship back then. A relationship is rhythm. Rhythm. And the way God deals with us is rhythm. He deals with our soul.
Yeah.
So it's through rhythm. And so when we start to learn the rhythm of each other, because you can't dance if you don't know the rhythm.
No, you can't.
You can't dance. And I believe that's what happened with a lot of relationships, is that they don't have the rhythm, the beat, because God will make a beat this way, and you got to learn how to follow that beat. You got to learn how to follow. So that's submitting to each other. It comes from that rhythm and us dancing, and that's what makes our marriage what it is. So when she talk about
the entangle. The tango.
The tango.
Not
Go
entanglement, but the tango. The tango brings us closer.
Right.
Like Pastor said, it's a dance. And when you dance, you tango, and it pulls you closer, meaning that you can conquer anything once you're close enough, that once you have that foundation.
I love it.
And the music sounds good.
Oh, yes.
And it looks good
Yes.
watching you do the tango.
Yes.
That's a pleasure to watch.
So, Nick, you talked about something about being used to seeing a certain thing in your woman, and that just wasn't mama. So, how do you make that adjustment? Tell me how that looks. How do you come to the conclusion that, you know what, she just ain't gonna be mama, but she's gonna be who she is?
But who wants to marry their mama, right?
You're right about that now. You're right about that. But you like the characteristics.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you let a person be who they are, it's much more natural
Okay.
than trying to fake it or trying to push somebody to put on this mask and be someone else.
Okay.
So the moment I began, I wouldn't say I began to let her, because she just existed.
Right.
She was who she was. So I think that's when the tango really, really began to get closer, and that dance became more and more intimate.
Okay.
And the music became deeper and deeper each day.
Okay.
So, was it difficult to submit? Because when you used to be independent, I don't have to hear what you have to say because I'm going to do this. How was it? Was it difficult to submit?
It was kind of difficult for me because I was used, I've seen my mother doing it all. And so there was no father there. And so it's, for me, I'm, following her footsteps. I'm going to do it, but it wasn't hard, if that makes sense, because when you have that man, first of all, he's submitted. He has someone that he's submitting to. He had accountability first to God, then he had his own father.
Okay.
right? So, and then, when I saw him practice principles or values that I had for myself, it was easy in that sense, but the learned behaviors that I had, those things began to fall off because they were different. And so I could look to his mother and value, some of her ways as well and incorporate those things. I really respect and appreciate his mom. Even though I had my own, she was showing me something as a wife, She was showing me something as a wife.
Right.
She was modeling,
Right.
Right.
And I was willing to accept that, from her because it was not something that I saw. However, I desired it. So, yeah.
So I think the lesson here is that when we study parents of our mates, we learn lessons about who we're with. Bad or good, indifferent, but it's important to recognize the source in which things are coming from. So I think that's good. So we're going to take a break here, and we're going to come back with more On the Couch with Shuntai and Johnell and our beautiful, beautiful guest that's on our couch.
Yes.
On the Couch with Shuntai and Johnell focuses on educational, humorous, and insightful topics based on extraordinary lives of real people. Each episode provides real talk from real people.
You desire to have that family. Okay. You desire to maintain it, have a mother, a father, and a child. And I struggled with that because my husband was abusive.
Coaching is about pulling out what's already there and helping you see what's already there.
Who gave you the authority to say that you're the king of Brandon?
I don't want to be with nobody. I'm not playing any games. I want to get my career. I want to get going with my life and establish myself in what I want.
Join Shuntai Hill, a certified counselor, and Johnell Allen Bay, a life coach and relationship expert, weekly for On the Couch with Shuntai and Johnell. Shuntai Hill and Johnell Allen Bay are the king and queen of relationships. Each week, the couple engages their audience with hot, sexy topics about relationships for the grown and sexy. The show is interactive, fun, and real.
Our next topic. I got drunk. Hold on. I got drunk the other night, and my girl grabbed my ears from behind. So she was behind him, grabbed his ears, and then he smacked her. I immediately apologized, but to be honest, I meant it, and I knew it was her. I felt horrible about hitting her, but I felt good at the same time. What's up with this?
Tune in weekly to She Say, He Say with Shuntai Hill and Johnell Allen Bay. For more information, visit shesayhesay.media.
And welcome back to another episode of On the Couch with Shuntai and Johnell.
Yes.
Yes, so before the break, we were talking to our lovely couples about relationships and the reason why Black love matters in our community. So what are some tips that you can provide to our audience? They may not be in a relationship. They may be new into a relationship and trying to get their dance together, the song. So what are some tips that you can provide?
I want you to give the tips to yourself at 30 years old. I want you to imagine you at 30 and what you know, give that tip.
So how you know they're not 30?
Because they've been married 25 years, 26 years. So my math said they won 4.
That's a good sign.
So they won 4 and 5. So I'm pretty safe.
Okay.
My biggest tip, and I go by the Bible when it talks about how a man should submit to his wife as Christ did the church.
Yes.
And it talks about how the woman should submit to the man. It's a difference because when the woman submits, she submits to a man. When a man submits, he has to die because Christ died for the church.
Okay.
You know, and until that man died to himself, and because a man is macho, you know, testosterone,
ego,
you know, and ego, you know.
Yeah.
So when it comes to your wife, you can't be that person. You have to die and come to where she at, so that she can understand where you at. And so my biggest thing was dying. Dying to not put my family on the railroad that I was on, dying to not allow my son to go down a prison road, dying, changing my perspective on life so that my love can be pure when it comes to when God asks me, how did I treat her?
That's good.
That's heavy.
Wow.
And I would like to give a tip.
Yes.
Strong positive communication
Okay.
is key, as well as appreciating, showing your mate how you appreciate them or her.
That's right.
Wow.
Yes.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too.
All right.
The tip I would give, I guess, to myself at 30 is, and it's much like what I did in the beginning, and my wife always tells my kids, or at least our 2 sons, when you see your wife, watch her. Watch her. Don't make a move just yet. Just see how she interacts with different people.
Right.
And so one of the things that I would definitely suggest to the men out there at their 25, 30-year-old looking for their wife, and definitely going by the scripture, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor in the Lord, because I have found favor and I've obtained much with my wife. But just watch her.
Just watch.
The tip that I would give is to get in your garden. Get in your garden. If you get in your garden, God is going to bring that significant person to you. And getting in your garden means honor your purpose. Honor what thing that has been put inside of you. Bring that to the earth. And then your significant other is going to be brought to you. You won't have to search around for it. It'll be right there. It'll be brought to you.
Awesome.
Wow. Thank you.
Great
I appreciate
advice.
That awesome advice.
So as we talk about, we talked about relationships, right? Our romantic relationships. What about the love of our community? So many times we hear in our community us talk about how others do not love us and how they treat us. But then we treat one another bad at times with the crime that happens. So what are your thoughts on displaying love in our community? Why is it important?
It's so very much important. As a couple, there are young people. We were police officers, and we were police officers in the Flint schools.
Okay.
And so some of those young people, we've been married for 25 years. Okay. And so some of those young people are in their older years, young years, 23, 22, you know, and they see us still steadfast and unmovable. And so they reach out because they're entertaining those relationships. And so they want that counsel because they can trust what they've seen.
Okay.
And so in that way, we do reach out to the community. You know, we do talk to the men and the young ladies about their relationship and how things are going. You know, and we do offer them some things that they can do to improve. And we tell them, we hold them accountable for what it is.
Okay. Yeah. I think when we talk about our community, isn't there a sense of responsibility that you feel because of the fact that the energy that you put into your own relationship? So, I mean, there's an expectation that we have. When you know how to love, there's a thing about expecting to be able to see it around you. You know, that's just our nature as a people. And so when we come back, I want us to talk about how do we tap that energy into making sure that the place that we're around, our community, is receptive and be able to make the necessary changes, because right now there's something missing. And we'll talk about it more on our next episode.
We'll be back.
On the Couch with Shuntai and Johnell focuses on educational, humorous, and insightful topics based on extraordinary lives of real people. Each episode provides real talk from real people.
You desire to have that family. You desire to maintain it, have a mother, a father, and a child. And I struggled with that because my husband was abusive.
Coaching is about pulling out what's already there and helping you see what's already there.
Who gave you the authority to say that you're the king of brand?
I don't want to be with nobody. I'm not playing any games. I want to get my career. I want to get going with my life and establish myself in what I want.
Join Shuntai Hill, a certified counselor, and Johnell Allen Bay, a life coach and relationship expert, weekly for On the Couch with Shuntai and Johnell. Shuntai Hill and Johnell Allen Bay are the king and queen of relationships. Each week, the couple engages their audience with hot, sexy topics about relationships for the grown and sexy. The show is interactive, fun, and real.
Our next topic. I got drunk. Hold on. I got drunk the other night, and my girl grabbed my ears from behind. So she was behind him, grabbed his ears, and then he smacked her. I immediately apologized, but to be honest, I meant it, and I knew it was her. I felt horrible about hitting her, but I felt good at the same time. What's up with this?
Tune in weekly to She Say, He Say with Shuntai Hill and Johnell Allen Bay. For more information, visit shesayhesay.media.
Welcome back to another episode of On the Couch with Shuntai and Johnell. Yes, we are talking about Black Love Matters.
Yes.
And we have two couples, the Mabrys and the Simpsons. And now we're talking about love within our community.
And you're unique because of the fact that you are ministers, pastors. So there's the community is looking at you in more lenses than just a man or a woman in the community. They're looking at you as leaders, right, of the community. And they're taking their orders of march by what you're doing. So, you're being watched. Let's talk about that and how the sense of responsibility is for you and the community.
It's a great responsibility. First of all, we didn't choose it.
Okay.
We didn't choose it. I believe that God chose us to be that model in our community. Even when we met, God gave us a light to our community. Before we became pastor, she became co-pastor, we had a following through our community by what we standing in.
Right.
And then we had a business. We had a business in the heart of our community. That people, before we had a church, they would come and get counsel, and we would minister to people before we even became ministers. It was just a drawing.
Right.
It's a drawing, and so from that you understand the responsibility of where God has put you at. That you got to be that model. You got to make sure you protect not just your characteristics, but my biggest thing as her being my biggest thing is to protect her as well.
Yes.
And so with that, I want to make sure that I'm not out doing nothing stupid. I'm not out making my name a disgrace. I'm not out doing what per se my homeboys do. And so you learn that responsibility, and as time grows, you begin to honor that responsibility. Because you want to make sure that somebody, that if they come to you, you're going to correct marriages. You're going to make that person say marriage is cool. Because everybody don't have that perspective on marriage. You have women now, they are going up and saying, I don't need a man. I can do everything on my own. No, that's what you've been taught. If you want to really be made whole, you're going to need what God has put in your life as a man to be that covering for you. And one thing about it, in this generation, what the young ladies don't understand is that Boaz when he found Ruth, he found her working. He didn't find her twerking. You know? And like, and like she said, they gotta learn how to work their field. And get that favor and let that man see you as who you are, as submitting to the field, and then God would honor that man to get that woman, and they could be that community setting on what God has put them here to be.
You know, it's funny because in my lifetime, I've never seen a man say, "I don't need no woman." We just don't say, that's not in our vocabulary at all. You know, no matter how independent I am, you know, I am not going to say I don't need no woman, you know. So it just shows you how the different mindsets of women and men, you know, and we're talking about us, you know, and that's just something that we just don't register like that, you know. And if we could just steal one thing out of our women, stop thinking like that, we're going to be successful as all. But go ahead.
Another thing that you mentioned is that with each one of your stories, your women, your wives were doing them. They were working on themselves. They were working in their fields between the salon and the work that you were doing in the police academy. You were focused on progressing and improving yourself when your Boaz came along.
But that's usually how it's going. When you focus it in on something and ain't looking for that other thing, you find it. But now we gonna go out and look at it and find it, and then it's gonna come into fruition. See, that's the power of the man.
And the blessing too, knowing that woman when you seen her, you know her submission to the Lord. For the Bible say, favor is deceitful, beauty is vain, but a woman that feared the Lord, she shall be praised. And you know, when you see that woman that feared the Lord, it's just something about it. You know, it's just something about it that attract you. It's something about when a woman say, no, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not. That is outside my character. You're like, oh, wait a minute. You know, she's different. No, I got to raise my game. You know,
I got a winner. I got a winner. That's it. And so when we talk about responsibility in our community, and I know that you come in a lot of contact, you know, as couples, and responsibility of what you do in your ministry. How do you separate the uplifting to the friendship? Because, you know, sometimes you can be putting work in, and before you know it, the work that you put in to think that, okay, then we friends. How do you get through that situation there? I'm just curious about that. I always get you. You know, I always get one. You know, I always throw a fastball.
Yeah, that's a fastball. I think for us, we've always been each other's best friend.
Okay.
And beyond the friends that we have, you know, our family, because the Bible makes it clear that the man will leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife. So there was no question about when we first met, the friendship came first, and then we built on that foundation.
Okay.
So there's another, you know, we never take advantage of one another and take that thing for granted. It always starts at the friendship level, and we have fun.
Yeah.
Marriage is not supposed to just be humdrum and boring, and you know,
Date your wife.
Have fun, enjoy one another, and laugh. You know, can
Sometimes
you sit on the couch with each other? Or is it just a marriage certificate up on the wall?
Right.
You know, and enjoy each other. So
I think our biggest challenge when it comes, and we have that a lot as being pastors and being relatable, being touched, being able to be touched. You know, we're not no type that segregate ourselves from the congregation. We're very involved, you know, and so sometimes people can take that for granted and just feel that, you know, our pastor and co-pastor is cool. Yeah, we cool, but yet still we got standards, you know. And so there has to be a separating line to know that, you know, we your overseer still. It's some things we still ain't gonna tolerate. And don't think just because you cool with your pastor, I'm not gonna say nothing about you doing this. No. It's just you got to tell them what it is, you know, because you don't water down the word. The word is the word. It ain't no this or this that. It's the word. Right is right. The Bible is right. And so with that, you know, we gonna tell them like it is. And if it hurt your feelings, then and maybe you weren't supposed to be here in the first place.
But it cuts going in and
Yeah,
coming out.
come on, that's why it's
right.
two-edged.
And you gotta balance it.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
gotta balance it to the point where you know that a friendship can only go so far.
Yes.
Because here is your pastor right here
Yeah.
Right.
at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good information.
Yeah.
And it helps us to be able to, our audience, you know, to make this relevant. Black love has to be relevant.
Yes.
And it has to be a focus.
Yeah.
And it has to be something that we all put energy into if we're going to shape and mold the next generation.
That's right.
They got to be able to see what a man and what a woman truly looks like.
Yes.
And so we appreciate that you brought that to the couch and it helped us to be able to put that in the right perspective.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
And thank you, our audience, for another season of On the Couch with the great Shuntai and her sidekick,
More than the
Johnell.
sidekick. Until next time.
Good job. Good job, you guys.